The Galactic Council chamber was never quiet, but today it felt dead. The room was huge, shaped like a wide circle, with tall seats rising layer by layer. Each seat held a leader from a different species. Some had claws, some had metal skin, some floated in the air instead of sitting. All of them were powerful. All of them were watching one single human. He stood in the center of the chamber. His hands were locked in glowing restraints. His clothes were plain, no armor, no symbols, no rank. He looked like a normal man you might pass on a street and never notice. His name was Elias Ward. Elias did not look angry. He did not look afraid. He stood straight, his face calm, his eyes steady. That alone made many council members uncomfortable. A tall alien with silver eyes leaned forward. His voice echoed through the chamber. Elias Ward of Earth, you are accused of violating Galactic Order 7. You interfered in a protected system. You acted without permission. You caused conflict. Elias listened. He had heard this before. Another council member spoke, this one with a sharp clicking voice. Humans are always the same. You say you want peace, but you bring chaos wherever you go. Low sounds of agreement spread across the chamber. Elias finally spoke. His voice was clear and quiet. I stopped a massacre. The chamber reacted at once. Some laughed, some hissed, some looked away. The silver-eyed leader raised a hand. You stopped nothing. You disrupted balance. This council exists to keep order. Humans do not understand order. Elias looked around the room. He saw fear hiding behind pride. He saw leaders who had never stood alone. You call it order, Elias said. We call it standing by while people die. Silence followed. Not because they agreed, but because his words landed harder than expected. The leader's eyes narrowed. This council has debated your case. The vote is complete. Elias already knew the result. A glowing screen appeared above the chamber floor. Symbols flashed, colors changed. The final result burned bright. XQEO Ampere Vamad. A few council members showed signs of relief. Others showed curiosity. Some looked pleased. The leader spoke again. Your species has been warned before. Humans are emotional, violent, unstable. You feel too deeply, and that makes you dangerous. Elias breathed in slowly. You could have exiled me, he said. You could have imprisoned me. But you chose this. The leader leaned back. We chose safety. Elias lifted his head. For the first time, there was weight in his voice. If you kill me, he said, humanity will answer. The chamber exploded with laughter. One large creature slapped its claws together. Threats from one human? Another said, humans have no unity, no empire, no true fleet. Elias did not argue. He simply looked at the execution platform as it rose from the floor. It was smooth, alien, and humming with energy strong enough to break atoms. As guards moved him forward, Elias closed his eyes for a moment. Far away across stars, across borders, across quiet space, something changed. Human ships stopped transmitting. Human stations went silent. Human worlds paused, as if holding their breath. No alarms sounded. No warnings were sent. Only one short message moved through human space, unseen by the council. Protocol HFY confirmed. Elias stepped onto the platform. The restraints tightened. Light wrapped around him. The council leader raised his hand. Let this be remembered, he said. As the day the galaxy chose peace over human chaos, Elias opened his eyes. He looked straight at the council. You will remember this day, he said softly. The execution device began to charge. And somewhere in the dark, ancient human engines began to wake up. The execution platform hummed louder. Blue, white light wrapped around Elias Ward's body like invisible chains. The air felt heavy, as if the chamber itself was holding its breath. Several council members leaned forward, eager to watch the final moment. Elias stood still. He did not pray. He did not shout. He did not beg. Instead, he remembered Earth. He remembered rain hitting old streets. He remembered crowded trains, small arguments, shared meals, and quiet nights where nothing special happened. Simple human things. Normal life. That was what the council never understood. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought for home. A sharp alien voice broke the silence. Why is he not resisting? Another answered, fear. It always comes late. They were wrong. Elias slowly lifted his head. His eyes were calm, but deep inside them was something old, something steady. The silver-eyed council leader stepped closer to the edge of his platform. Human Elias Ward, he announced, your final moments have arrived. The galaxy will be safer without you. Elias looked at him and spoke softly. You still think this is about me? The leader ignored him and raised his hand higher. Begin final charge. The execution device grew brighter. Energy lines formed around Elias, drawing power from the station itself. Even some council members felt nervous now. The machine was far stronger than needed for one human. Suddenly, a junior council technician froze. Chair, leader, we have a reading. The silver eyes flicked toward him. Speak. The technician swallowed. There is unusual silence in human space. Some council members laughed again. So, humans are noisy creatures, enjoying their sleep perhaps. But the technician shook his head. No signals, no civilian traffic, no background noise. It's like they turned the lights off. That caught attention. The leader frowned. Irrelevant. Continue. The device reached maximum power. Elias felt the energy pressing against his skin. It was painful, but pain was not new to humans. He had trained for worse, much worse. In his ear, hidden beneath layers of alien scans, a tiny human implant vibrated once. One pulse, that was all. Across the galaxy, that pulse echoed. Human commanders stopped mid-movement. Ship crews looked at their screens. Old veterans straightened their backs. A single line of text appeared everywhere, identical and clear. Ash fell, a CTIV, no cheers followed. No speeches were made. Humans moved quietly. Back in the council chamber, the leader's voice rang out. Fire. The execution beam exploded forward in a blinding flash. Several council members shielded their eyes. But then, nothing happened. The beam did not hit Elias, it bent. The energy curved around him, pulled sideways as if caught by an invisible wall. The chamber shook. Alarm screamed for the first time in centuries. What is happening? Someone shouted. Readings spiked out of control. Power levels dropped fast. The leader slammed a claw on his console. Shut it down.
We can't, a technician cried.
Something is interfering, something external. Above the chamber, space itself seemed to ripple. Massive shadows began to form. Not one ship, not two, hundreds. Ancient human warships slipped out of nothingness, their hulls dark, scarred and silent. No lights, no warnings, no signals, just presence. The laughter was gone now. Elias smiled, not in joy, but in understanding. He looked up at the ceiling where the first human symbol appeared on every screen. A simple mark, old, feared. The silver-eyed leader whispered, almost to himself, that fleet, it was decommissioned. Lost. Elias spoke clearly, his voice carrying through the chaos. No, he said. It was waiting. Outside, human weapons powered up, not aimed at cities, not at civilians, only at power. And for the first time in galactic history, the council realized they had made a terrible mistake. The council chamber shook again. Not from weapons fire, from fear. Screens across the massive hall flickered as new data rushed in faster than systems could handle. Human ships filled the space above the council world, so many that the stars behind them vanished. They did not move aggressively. They did not speak. They simply existed. That silence was worse than any threat. The silver-eyed council leader stepped back slowly. His calm voice was gone. This is a violation of sovereign space, he said, forcing authority into his tone. Human fleets must withdraw immediately. No answer came. Instead, a single human ship drifted forward. It was not the largest. It was not the newest. Its surface was burned and cracked, marked by old battles. The name on its hull was simple, HSS Quiet Resolve. A human voice finally filled the chamber's speakers. It was calm, flat, human. Galactic Council, the voice said, you have executed a protected human envoy. The leader snapped. The execution is still in progress. The voice paused. No, it replied. The decision was made. The consequence follows. Outside, several council defense platforms suddenly shut down. No explosions, no warning. They simply went dark and drifted apart like dead metal. Panic spread. That was our outer shield. A council member shouted. How did they bypass it? They didn't. Another whispered. They turned it off. Inside the chamber, Elias Ward felt the pressure around him fade. The execution energy lost focus, bleeding away like water through cracks. The invisible shield around him still held. Elias stayed quiet. This moment was not about him anymore. The human voice continued. You judged humans as violent, it said. You judged us as unstable. You believed restraint was weakness. A second human ship moved forward, then a third, then dozens more. All human forces, the voice said, have been under standing orders for 300 cycles. The council leader froze. Orders for what? To not respond, the voice answered. Unless a line was crossed. The chamber lights dimmed as more systems failed. What line? The leader demanded. The answer came instantly. Public execution of a human representative. Outside, the sky changed color. Human ships powered up their weapons, not firing, but charging. The energy signatures were massive, old, and terrifying. Some council members fell from their seats. Others tried to flee. Open surrender channels, one cried. Another screamed, we vote to reverse the execution. It did not matter. The human voice was not angry. It was not emotional. It was final. Humans do not burn worlds for revenge, it said. We burned control. One by one, council command hubs across the planet shut down. Fleet control vanished. Defense grids collapsed. Communication towers went silent. Still, no cities burned. No civilians died. That made it worse. Elias finally spoke, his voice echoing in the chamber. This is what restraint looks like, he said. The council leader stared at him. You planned this? Elias shook his head. No, you did. A deep tremor ran through the station as a nearby council warfleet lost power and drifted helplessly in orbit. The human voice returned one last time. This action will continue until the council no longer has the ability to harm human lives. The execution platform cracked and powered down completely. The restraints released Elias's wrists. He stepped off the platform on his own. Around him, the council chamber was chaos, leaders shouting, systems failing, authority gone in minutes. Elias looked up at the screens showing space filled with human ships. Old ships, patient ships, ships that had waited centuries for this moment. He spoke quietly, not to the council, but to the truth they had ignored. We warned you, he said. Outside, the last major council command station went dark, and across the galaxy, every species watching understood one thing clearly. Humans had not attacked. Humans had answered. The council chamber no longer felt powerful. Leaders who once spoke with pride now sat quietly, watching their screens. Systems that had ruled entire star systems were gone in less than an hour. No explosions, no firestorms, just silence and loss of control. Elias Ward stood free at the center of the chamber. No guards touched him now, they were afraid to. Outside, human ships held position. They did not move closer. They did not retreat, they waited. The silver-eyed council leader looked older somehow, smaller. You could destroy us, he said slowly. Why don't you? Elias looked at him, then at the others. Because that's not the lesson, Elias replied. The leader frowned. Lesson? Yes, Elias said. You thought humans were dangerous because we fight. That was your mistake. One council member slammed a claw on the table. You shut down our fleets, our networks, our authority. Elias nodded. Exactly. The chamber went quiet again. Humans don't want your worlds, Elias continued. We don't want your cities. We don't even want your fear. Then what do you want? The leader asked. Elias met his eyes. Respect. A screen flickered to life behind him. It showed images from across the galaxy, human colonies, mixed worlds, rescue missions, medical ships, evacuation efforts. We help more systems than we fight, Elias said. But you only remembered the fighting. The leader looked away. We waited. Elias went on. For centuries, we followed your rules. We accepted your laws, even when they hurt us. Another council member whispered. Why? Because peace matters, Elias answered. But peace without dignity is just quiet suffering. Outside, a human ship sent a short transmission. Not a threat, not a warning, a report. Council authority reduced to 0%, the human voice said. No civilian casualties. That detail echoed in the chamber. No civilian casualties. Some council members looked ashamed, others looked confused. You planned all this, one said. You hid your strength. Elias shook his head again. No, we controlled it. He walked slowly across the chamber floor. You see power as something to show, he said. We see power as something to hold back. The silver-eyed leader stood up. His voice trembled. We misunderstood humans, Elias said simply. The leader swallowed. What happens now? Elias stopped walking. That depends on what you choose to remember, he said. Outside, human ships began powering down their weapons, slowly, clearly, so everyone could see. This ends when the council changes, Elias continued. Not with words, with law. A legal screen appeared in the air. A new document formed in real time, visible to every system watching. Galactic Amendment Proposal. No human representative may be harmed. No human world may be punished without joint human review. Human sovereignty recognized fully. Silence followed. Then, one by one, council members voted. Some voted out of fear, some out of reason, some out of respect. The result appeared. Elias let out a slow breath. Outside, human fleets began to pull back. Not rushing, not dramatic, just leaving. Before the final ship jumped away, a last human message filled the chamber. This was not war, the voice said. This was restraint ending. The screen went dark. The council world still stood. Its people still lived, but its leaders would never forget. Elias turned and walked toward the exit. The silver-eyed leader called out, Elias Ward. Elias stopped but did not turn. We will teach this, the leader said. Across the galaxy? Elias nodded once. Good, he said. Because humans don't want to be feared. He paused. But if you ever forget this lesson, we are very patient teachers. He walked out, and behind him the council finally understood the truth. Humans were not dangerous because they were violent. Humans were dangerous because they knew when not to be. The galaxy did not sleep after that day. News of what happened spread fast, faster than any fleet. From trading worlds to border colonies, everyone watched the same recordings again and again. A single human standing alone, a council full of power, and a decision that changed everything. The council world still stood. Its cities were untouched. Its people were alive, but something invisible had burned away. Authority. For the first time in galactic history, the Council ruled by agreement, not fear. Elias Ward returned to Earth quietly. There were no crowds waiting for him. No speeches, no medals. He stepped onto familiar ground, breathed in Earth's air, and walked like a normal man again. That was how humans did things. Across the stars, alien governments rewrote their policies. Military academies changed their lessons. Old warnings were updated with a new line, written carefully and repeated often. Human restraint is not weakness. It is a choice. On mixed species worlds, humans were treated differently now, not with fear, but with distance and respect. Negotiations became slower, more careful. Words were chosen with care. No one wanted to cross that line again. In council space, schools began teaching a new case study. Children watched the recording of the execution vote. They saw the laughter. They saw the confidence. Then they saw the silence that followed. Teachers paused the video at one moment. Elias Ward's warning. "If you kill me, humanity will answer." That sentence became famous, not because it was loud, but because it was honest. Months later, a small council delegation traveled to Earth. Not with demands, not with threats, with apologies. They stood in a simple room, no grand hall, no glowing platforms. Human representatives listened quietly. No one raised their voice. At the end, one alien asked a question that had followed them since that day. "Why didn't you destroy us?" A human diplomat answered calmly, "Because we didn't need to." That answer spread too. Far away, in deep space, ancient human fleets returned to their silent paths. Some went back to hidden docks. Others powered down near empty stars, waiting once more. They were not retired, just patient. Elias Ward returned to normal work. He did not speak about the council much. When asked if he was afraid during the execution, he gave a simple answer. "Of course," he said. "Fear keeps you human." That surprised many, but that was the final lesson. Humans were not fearless. They were not unstoppable. They were not monsters. They were people who believed some lines should never be crossed. Years later, a new crisis appeared on the edge of known space. A small species faced destruction. The council debated. Old habits tried to return. Then someone asked a quiet question. What would humans do? The answer was clear. They would stand in the way. They would warn once, and if ignored, they would answer. The council voted to protect the weak. No human ships moved. They didn't need to. In the end, the galaxy learned something simple and hard to forget. Humans did not seek control. They did not chase power. They did not want to rule. But if forced to choose between silence and survival, they would burn away anything that threatened their right to exist. And somewhere, far from grand halls and burning skies, Elias Ward watched the stars from a quiet place on Earth. The galaxy kept moving, but it would never forget the day it approved a human execution and learned what restraint truly meant.